Welcome to First Class Chronicles, where the experts and the amateurs talk about all things real estate with humor. Here's our host, Amber Farrier.
Welcome to another episode of First Class Chronicles. Today I have not only one but two experts from First Class Realty. We have Trish Farrier, president of First Class, and we have top producing agent Gabrielle Allen. And today we're going to be talking about NAR, and I would love to start with Gabby and hear your thoughts on this, as it is a little bit of a doozy.
Amber, you are absolutely correct. This is more than a doozy, y'all. So let's just discuss what it is. We have a lawsuit with National Association of Realtors, and they basically are saying, now we've got to work a little harder. Is that really what it is? I don't know. What I do think is this. We are going to be better together, and until you figure out what value you have as an agent, I like to say as a realtor, not a 9-digit number, then you really don't understand what this whole entire process is going to be. Because technically all it is you having to actually work. Also, it is the idea that as realtors, we now have to fight for our commission. But what does that look like exactly? And I think that overall, as a realtor, it really means that you have to dig deep and figure out what your value is. But more importantly, now you really got to go to work. So I would love to hear what Trish has to say as a broker owner of First Class Realty, because this not only changes how we operate, it changes every document that we now, as far as listing agents, as far as realtors, as far as buyer's agents, and yes, those are all the same, but that document is more important now than it ever has been. And I've been licensed now almost 10 years, and we've seen changes, but we have not seen these types of changes. So Trish, I'd love to hear from you.
The key word you just said there was value, and that is what I think we need to focus on. We not only need to see the value in ourselves as realtors, but we also need to be valuable to our clients. And that means whether you are better at being a listing agent, I know that's always been my forte. You are a phenomenal buyer's agent. Whatever it is, you have to know your contracts. You have to be able to communicate to your client what is in that contract, so that they know how valuable we are and what we are doing for them. And so I say the very first thing that everyone needs to do is know their contract. And I've been saying that because I've been doing this for
a freaking long time. Like lease Jesus, the cattle he was born in.
And the wise men were the lender, the title company,
yes,
and
the
inspector.
appraisal. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Yeah, I can see that. That's all
dinosaur
good.
years and all.
It's fine. Hey, I just say guru. That's all I'm saying. Guru. It's good stuff.
Okay, so y'all didn't mention any goats there. I'm supposed to be a goat here.
Oh, greatest of all time, baby. She said she is. And you will put some respect on her name.
There you go.
Today.
I'll sit down. All right. I'll stay seated. Continue. Class is dismissed. Yeah.
But there's so many intricate parts of this lawsuit that I think so many people have gotten caught up on.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are Stop looking at social media.
Absolutely.
Now listen, don't ever unsubscribe from this podcast because we're bringing you the real. But I also feel like we don't tell what we do. Mm-hmm. And our clients don't see that.
Absolutely.
And so when we're sitting at home and we've negotiated a contract and it's 11 p.m. and our client is sound asleep, maybe they're not, they don't see that. They don't see when there's conditions that come back from the lender, or if you're on the other side as the seller's agent, and we were pre-COVID, we had 16 offers to go through to our client. We don't show that. And so I do feel like, everybody's like, oh, now I'm not going to get paid. Oh, now the seller has to pay me. No, you have to go back and you have to take it back to the basics.
Right.
No matter how long you've been in the business, Trish, you yourself know that the value that you bring to each and every one of your clients is top tier.
Absolutely.
Now, not everybody can have that conversation. And you might want to check yourself because, again, we got agents who still don't answer the phone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have been on listings. I have been on the buyer side, and even in our rental side. Mm-hmm. You won't even answer the phone? What are you doing? But this person who has trusted you with your asset, maybe their asset as far as us managing or as far as them purchasing, you haven't done the due diligence. And I feel like this is how this all got, started.
Absolutely.
And so then it's oh, well, now I have to look and see what I'm going to do differently. There's people out there who are like, oh, I'm going to go do this now. I'm going to go do this. No, take it back to the basics. Do you know all 13 pages of this contract?
Yeah.
And the buyer rep?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know every paragraph, then you might want to do some reading. I mean, I really feel like this is where we're going to have to go back to educating ourselves.
Absolutely.
And also educating our clients of what we do.
Yes. And I actually, when Amber first received her license, the first thing I did with her is I said, let's go through all the contracts you're going to be using. You need to know what each of those paragraphs mean.
Yes.
And
my first bedtime story was a residential lease. Like, I'm telling you, she started young.
The parties are Amber and Rob.
I'm in the room. They put headphones on her stomach, make sure I knew all the contracts.
All the words.
All the words.
You knew what escrow was before escrow.
Absolutely.
Sure did.
Yes. I mean, but that's embedded, right?
It is.
And if it's not embedded, what are we doing? Because this goes back to the same conversation of value. You have to educate yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't know, so you have to go take a class. NARPM has classes that are all day long. There are webinars. HAR has every class on there, and there are free classes at HAR. Go and get you some education before you go out playing with people's money.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, this is the largest transaction some people will do all their life. Outside of marriage and kids or graduations or whatever, it is one of the largest assets someone is going to truly make like theirs. And so if you are teetering and tottering with this person and their money, what do you like? That's not okay. So I do think that, they're saying now it's going to be August before we see the changes.
Right.
MLS updates are coming left, right, and sideways. I'm appreciative of Texas Realtors for bringing those forms to light and changing the different things.
Absolutely.
NAR has done the same. And there's a lot of backlash, people are saying that they could have done things differently. Well, we all could have.
Well,
right? I mean, like,
you're human. I'm human. What's up?
That's it. Like, we're all human and we've all been in this. But what have we taken accountability?
No.
And no, there's been no accountability across the board. And so now it's like pointing fingers. And it's like, you gonna keep pointing or we gonna get something done?
Yeah.
So
seriously.
that's where we are.
And it's interesting. I'll share this because I actually took a class, and this really was about 15 years ago before a lot of this was even being talked about. And the guy that taught the class at that time said, oh, I love to represent buyers, and I make them sign the buyer's agreement, and no one hardly was using it.
Of course.
And he even had it set up to where he would explain very thoroughly what his value was and what it was costing him to show property. So he collected money up front. This is way back then. And would say, this is what you're going to pay to have this amount of my time, this amount of homes that I'll show you. And then and he even said, if you end up getting a house with me, and I get paid, I will reimburse you back the money you've paid me. So this guy was way ahead of his time, but what he was doing was he took the time to explain his value and what it cost him to help this person get what they're looking for. And that's part of it. Our communication has to be better. Our education and knowing what we're doing has to be better. And really, those of us who do that are going to be fine.
Yes.
It's only those that aren't going to take that time that are really going to suffer.
That is people come to us because they trust us. So if you break that person's trust, then that's it. Like, you don't have another way to come back from that.
Right. So
I feel like there has to be a point of, like where you just said, hey, you want to go see 7 houses and you're looking at all these houses and the gas and all the things, and nobody's getting in the car with us because we don't do that anymore. That is, anybody who's in insurance will tell you, don't you put nobody in your car. But
that'll be a future episode.
Yes, it will be. But it's definitely the idea of, hey, this is my time, this is my energy, and ultimately I want to be paid. And I know that sounds like, oh my gosh, how dare you say that? But y'all don't go to the doctor and tell the doctor, I'm here for an hour. I'm only going to pay you for half an hour. And I'm only going to pay you what I want to pay you.
Nah.
No.
Right.
And no attorney is going to take you on without a consultation. And usually they might be free up front, but they're going to want their money.
Right.
So at some point, real estate has gotten too saturated with people who got into the industry, who thought it was easy. Oh, y'all ride in luxury cars.
And watch too
no.
many of those shows.
Right. Like, stop watching HGTV. It's just not for you.
I'm gonna still watch it, but it's
Well, no, I'm gonna still
It's
watch
stupid.
it. Yeah, it's scripted. And people are like, what? It's scripted?
Oh, yeah.
We
Come
at
on.
this table know exactly what we bring to each client.
Right, exactly.
And I think the other side is that as long as you are surrounding yourself with people who are going to hold you accountable, who have a broker, who are going to tell you all the things, who's going to tell you, hey, this update came through. You just got to be somewhere that they're going to give you value and you're going to bring that same value. So ultimately, this NAR lawsuit is, to me, past news. It's something that you can't keep hounding on. You can't keep talking about it, but it is definitely something that is on every social media outlet. I mean, it's even on the news. We made national news. Woohoo, not for the right things.
Right.
But wasn't like, yay, realtors. It was like, no, realtors. So, it's one of those things. But I do think ultimately, if you have that value, if you have that education, and if you have a brokerage who has sewn into you what to do and what not to do, then that's the key too. Because I'm not going to do anything to let Trish over here lose her license, because that's not my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I don't look good in orange or white. So, and I don't want to go there. And orange is not the new black.
Yeah.
It's not the new black. So,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
So y'all both been in the industry for quite some time, and a long time. But as someone like myself who's only been in it for a few years, so with this coming out, obviously, if you're not educating yourself and you're not reading, you're probably freaking out, watching everything. So what would you tell a newer agent? People are passing their test every day. What are you telling them?
If you're new, get a mentor that you can work with. Work in a team maybe, but attach yourself to someone who does know what they're doing and soak up that wisdom, because that's really important. I know I did that myself. But I think, and I tried to do that with those people who are here, but it's real important to know that. And I want to make one more point I thought of when you were talking. Know when to cut bait. Because and it's a very hard thing to do. But not every client is a good client and worth the money and time. Sometimes you will end up working for free when you have someone who is just never going to make it worth your while.
Right.
Or they spread you out so thin that you're at a point where you're not making money.
Yep.
So know when to cut bait. And a lot of times when you are with a good mentor, they can help you see those red flags and signs to know when that is necessary. So, but my biggest advice was get a mentor, because I know there are really good realtors out there that love to help and would want to be able to give you some advice.
I was brand new and I just got my license last week. One, I need to find a brokerage that is going to support what I want to do. So a lot of people get this license and don't have a clue what they want to do. So if you got your license because you, like myself, I wanted to help people who look like me, who were told they had never been able to buy a home. So it was one of those things where I got to that point where I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. But then I got involved and I was like, wait a minute, there's too many gambits of this real estate thing that I could do more with. But that's when I started mentoring. So NAR has Aspire. It's where you can go in and you can get mentored. And you can be a mentor if you are in, enough time frame of transactions and things of that nature. But I do feel like the mentorship is one thing, but the also is if you don't know why you got your license, or you just, I'm going to go make money. Yeah, you might as well just keep that license at trick, because it's a process. And I would also say to that person, take the time to get yourself educated. Don't jump out there with both feet and get your feelings hurt. Figure out a path. At least start with, okay, I'm going to be a realtor and I'm going to work on buyers. Then you learn everything there is to do with buyers. You go meet the builders. You go see the lenders. You get a team. But that's where that mentor comes in, because that mentor, like myself and like Trish, we've got a book of business. And we've got vendors and we've got people we can call and they can say, oh, hey, you're going to send, oh, yeah, by all means. When they get here, I'm ready to talk to them. Because you don't know anything. Right. So if you don't know anything, attach yourself to someone who does know. And again, you don't suck them dry. You learn and you write it down and you make it your everyday mantra to say, okay, I'm working with buyers. I'm going to work on these buyers and I'm going to work on these documents. I'm going to learn them all. I'm going to know. And then you go from there. And then I think overall, I would just I put my blinders on. And I wouldn't be concerned about what's going on around me. That's a big thing. You know, we are creatures of habit of listening to other people tell us, oh, well, you should be out there making $25,000 a day, or you should be out there. And it's just not how this life
Social
works.
media doesn't help that at all.
Nope.
It will set you back 10 steps.
Yes.
So last thing to just kind of wrap it up with, y'all both made note of knowing your value. And as someone who's newer to the industry, obviously our values are a lot different.
Right.
So how would you advise a newer agent to really knuckle down on knowing what their value is? Like, how would you encourage it? Is it really a time of the essence, or is it more of like no, you could actually jumpstart it if you do X, Y, and Z?
I think that choosing a good broker is good. But I also think that, like she was talking a lot about picking an area. I think especially if you start, focus on specializing in something will make you the best at that area.
Yep.
Because I know when I started, I talk about how I am a better listing broker, and it's because I don't have the personality that Gabby has to be a good buying agent. I am a numbers person, so my personality fits better for listings and marketing, and that's how I got into property management. So a lot of times you have to find what your personality is and what you're better at. She's a phenomenal buyer's agent, and even you have a great personality for a buyer's agent. You hate a lot of the paperwork and documentation. So, and if you are someone like that has a weakness, that's why teams can be good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're with someone who, all right, I'm good at paperwork, but I'm not really good at the showing, but you're good at the showing, but I don't like to do the paperwork, then y'all can make an agreement together, and then y'all become perfect experts as a team. So that would be something that I would recommend to someone new as well, or even someone that's been in it a while. If you know you have an area you're weak in, let's go find a weak at, then go find somebody that is stronger in that area. Yeah. And y'all work out an agreement in writing. Put everything in writing so there's no misunderstandings. So that would be
so not have all the pressure of feeling like you have to do it all.
You don't have to know it all.
You don't have to be it all.
No.
You don't have to do it all. You just have to find what is for you.
Absolutely.
You passed the test. You passed. You went to. First of all, let's go back. You took 6 classes, or I think it's 7 now. You got that. You did the test. You need to applaud yourself for just doing that part. Now the next step of work comes in and finding a brokerage wherever you go. And remember, the brokerage does not make you. I have been to several. And it does not make you what you are, and the value that you bring is how you're going to be a better realtor. So just like Trish was saying, if you don't have a niche, if you don't even know what a niche means, then you've got to figure out, okay, I got my license, I'm licensed now, I'm a realtor. Where do I go from here? The value truly comes in knowing what you want to do. If you have a full-time job, I cannot say this more than 10 times, stay at your job. Please stay at your job, because this is not the type of lifestyle that you've ever lived. If you've been accustomed to working 80 hours a week and getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, this is not real estate. Real estate, you got to work and then you got to get paid. So I think there's a mindset. Mindset is huge for me when it comes down to, I now have my license. I now am a realtor. I'm about to hit the ground running. Whoa, take your baby steps, because you can't leave a 9 to 5 and think you're going to jump in these real estate streets and get a paycheck. It doesn't work that way. So I think a mindset is a big thing too. So even though you're licensed, even though you have now a brokerage, you have to have a mindset of entrepreneurship. And this is where you cannot overload yourself. You cannot take on all the things out of the gate, but you do have to have some type of structure. So I do feel like if you go to a team and you're brand new, that might be best. You have someone who does the paperwork. That's a transaction coordinator, or maybe it's a licensed agent who just loves paperwork. That's not me. Never will it be me, and I am grateful for my transaction coordinator right now. But I do think there's a possibility that you then, once you build on that foundation of that team, that you do say, okay, well, I want to be a solo agent now. Now, then you might be able to jump out there, and you may be maybe now you're not baby steps, you might be a little trot, but you cannot think that you're gonna jump in this business and just go.
Take off.
No, because it's too much pressure.
It is.
So take your time, know what you're looking at, and I think that's the missing gap of people who get licensed and then they're like, "Oh, I want to make money."
Exactly.
There is a major gap between that.
There's a lot of missing training from jumping from school to the brokerage. that,
Yes.
like, people,
Yes.
I don't even feel like in school they talk about it that much. Where they're just like, oh yeah, you actually need to do a whole bunch of training before you go and close your first transaction.
Which is
They
why
don't tell you
picking a
that.
broker is very important.
That's why it's
Yes.
so important.
Yes.
And you have to, like, you need to, if you're still even taking your courses, make a list of, like, what is it that I want from my brokerage? What do I see myself being an agent as? And then go and you interview the brokers. They don't need to interview you. You
Right.
interview them. Like,
Right. They need you.
you can
Right.
grow. They should have it all out there for you. So
Right.
I really like that. We can totally get into a whole episode about branding yourself and what
Which we
direction.
will.
Which
Oh, yeah.
yeah, of course. But certainly for those newer agents, I'm sure this NAR thing is quite scary for them if they don't
for sure.
actually, take a minute to read. But any last thoughts?
Outside of NAR, Texas Realtors, and HAR, all of them have websites for you to read the true facts. Please read the true facts. Don't teeter off of what's out there. Stay on the people who are in the lawsuit. HAR was named as one of the people in the lawsuit. There's a resource page, and I would just stay focused. If you want to focus on anything, focus on that. But more importantly, at the end of the day, it does not matter about this lawsuit. It's happened. It's done. You can't fix it. It's literally now where we have to move past it.
Yeah.
So I do believe that here in the future, we will have different verbiage, we'll have different ideas, but guess what won't change? Is the value that's inside of you as an agent, as you as a brokerage. Overall, there's nothing you can do about it except be better and also communicate. We're stronger together. There is no reason that if I'm on the listing side and Trish is on the selling side that we should not have a conversation. It is not an enemy thing. It is you have a seller, I have a buyer. How can we make this work? And it's just that simplistic.
I want to just piggyback on something she said. I think we all need to learn how to work better with each other as agents. And this is not a competition where you're fighting on who's going to, sometimes they come off very aggressive when either something's being presented or countered or whatever. Work as a team.
Yeah.
Work as a team. The ultimate goal is you want to help this person
Exactly.
get the house that they want. You want that seller to sell it for what they want. So instead of approach that person with respect that you're talking to. And even sometimes when they don't give it to you, a lot of times I just take a deep breath.
Yes.
And try to continue to be the better person.
And
so
keep
that's
reminding myself that orange is not the new black. Yes.
I don't look good in orange.
I don't either. No, not interested.
I'm too old to be.
Baby, what? I ain't got the time. Listen, I'm not gonna ever go there with anybody because I am the first one to be like, oh wait, let me remind myself.
Yeah.
I don't look good in that. And I don't like the idea of I have to eat the same food every day.
Yeah, that actually is wild.
Yeah.
I could not do that.
My man.
My ADHD would go wild.
Right.
Right. The same thing and eating the same thing.
Yes.
Bye. Well, ladies, I feel like we touched on some pretty good topics. And of course, I know we were all over the place and there's so many topics we can talk about in the future. So if anything interested you or if you want to hear us talk about other ones, please just leave us a comment. Follow us on the socials. We literally post everywhere. Go Gabby Go on everything. Trish, First Class Realty. We post all the time. So feel free to connect with us. And until next time, have a good one.